And welcome to our live in the cabin. I am Jocelyn Joan, a post-divorce coach, and with me, the wonderful, amazing Tanya Fisher, a biohacker and medicine woman. Tanya, thank you so much for opening up your healing space for us to do the live together in person. What a wonderful space to be and to collaborate and to share our insights with everyone, doing it from your healing space. And it's wonderful to have the fire behind us, keeping us warm, and just this beautiful energy.
It is lovely, especially when it's been snowing outside today. So I've been keeping nice and warm in the sacred cabin tonight. So yeah, I've really been enjoying having the log burner on.
And everyone, welcome to our topic today, which is gut-brain health. So before I introduce what Tanya does exactly, I just thought I would share a little bit of myself and what I do, and how our passions align with each other, and how we share the same health passion, and how our services and our lifestyle interline with each other. And that's the reason for today, because we want to share our knowledge with you. So as a post-divorce coach, I help women heal and to navigate their journey post-divorce, so that they can heal and build long-lasting confidence without needing many years of therapy, and to just help them connect with the deeper versions of themselves as they heal, grow, and become more along their healing journey. Tanya, I'd love to introduce you now. I would love for you to share what a biohacker is and a medicine woman.
Okay, so a biohacker is a term that's been coined in probably the last 5 to 10 years. What that is somebody that tries to get maximum performance out of their body and their mind by using various different techniques, whether it's through food or through nootropics or through various exercise modalities. So it's all about getting the best out of your body, and I love finding out new alternative medicine that allows the body to do amazing things.
Wonderful. And I believe you also do a lot of foraging, which is incorporated in being a medicine woman.
Yes, I guess the reason why I call myself a medicine woman is that I have a real passion for foraging and using various herbs to make tinctures and to use the herbs to heal the body. So I love being out in nature. It's allowed me to be out in nature more. Obviously not today in the snow, but you can still go out in the snow. Yeah, I love the fact that there's everything that we need really is outside in nature. If you really do go and look for it and you start studying it, it's amazing to know what you can find. I have a passion, I guess the medicine woman umbrella covers lots of different aspects of who I am and what I do. I'm a shamanic healer, so I also use plant medicine for healing. So using herbs as well as plant medicines to heal the body and the mind. And I guess that's where we come together, because it's not just about what you eat, it's also about the mind as well. So I guess on that topic, over to you in terms of when did all of this start? You know, I know that you were a professional surfer back in the day.
So many years ago, how the journey started for me was I was very sporty from very, very young, and I fell in love with surfing and started a career within the surfing world. And with surfing came a lot about understanding your body so that you can do well for yourself as an athlete, keeping your mind right and keeping your body right so that you can perform. And as I got older, it was only natural for me to then go into the health industry, where I became a personal trainer, sports conditioning trainer, and health coach, and had my own fitness center back in South Africa. And through the love I found in the health coaching, it led me into the world of life coaching. And at that time, I was in a very narcissistic, toxic relationship. And it was in this relationship where it taught me a lot about my partner at the time and her story, the relationship that I was having, and it taught me a lot about myself in my journey of who I am as a person and within that relationship. So it was only natural for me to have this flair and passion to help other women in my situation, to help them heal through their post-divorce and what went on within their divorce. And often you will find a lot of the trauma that occurs in marriage is often linked to certain childhood trauma. And it's about really getting to the root cause of all of that trauma. For example, codependency, trauma bonds, attachment styles, and having a narcissistic partner, and understanding yourself as the empath so that you can heal responsibly and correctly in a healthy manner that serves you and your well-being, and deepening the relationship with who you are, and just helping you to grow and become more, and understanding that change that occurs after divorce so that you can navigate it in a way of understanding why the change is relevant and how this needed growth is relevant in your life, and why it's calling out to you and is being addressed into your life, and why you need to actually take action in the understanding of your growth and who you are as you grow and become more in your healing journey. And doing so, it's about making sure that you heal correctly through your beliefs and your root cause. And it's also understanding that a lot of people find that they life just gets ahead of them and they don't heal properly. So they will think that a self-help book or journaling is going to help them. As much as a self-help book is valid and has certain tools, it's not really relevant to your life as such. And that is why coaching is so valid, because it gets into the root cause where you do the techniques that are implemented for your healing journey. But at the same time, in saying so, it's important to nourish your body as well as you nourishing your mind. And that's the importance of having a healthy gut, as our gut is like a second brain. And I know Tanya has a lot of information to share about gut health. Over to you.
Well, yes, I do have a lot to share. Maybe not as much today, but I will cover a few things. A lot of people are not aware that obviously the gut health is so important that it will affect your brain and it will affect your mood. So depending on what you're eating will affect you. Also, how fast your metabolism is will have an effect. So, say for instance, if you're eating a lot of carbohydrates in a meal, you'll notice how sluggish you can be afterwards. And if you eat a lot of sugar, you can get these real sugar spikes, and you might feel like real highs and then extreme lows. And there is a thing called the sugar blues. When you eat a lot of sugar, you can definitely feel almost like a depressant, like alcohol, for instance, because it's changing the dynamics of your gut, and you're feeding the wrong bacteria in your gut, which correlates to the brain. So there is a real need for more understanding in the general public, I think, around how important it is to eat healthily. And I think in this day and age, a lot of us think, oh, well, we're just having a vegetable soup. I just bought one from Tesco's, or I'm having a pre-made salad from Waitrose. It must be healthy. But realistically, if you're buying anything that's in a packet and you're not making it yourself, and you don't know, or it's got like sauces with it which are usually full of sugar and other nasties like MSGs and things like that. So we do really have to go back to basics when I guess the world we live in, especially after COVID, I think people really got into the habit of ordering Deliveroo and Uber Eats, and it was just very convenient to just pick up the phone, and you know, everyone's got it on speed dial now. You know, it's like they're so used to just picking up the phone and somebody, you know, dropping off a pizza, and you know, because mum can't be bothered to feed the kids tonight, so we've got pizza, and then after they've eaten the pizza, they're still hungry because carbs make you hungry, and then they want chocolate, and then so, you know, for an easy life, mum gives them chocolate, and then you know, she's spending the next few hours trying to put them to bed, but they're bouncing off the walls, you know. And I know this probably sounds really obvious to a lot of people, but you know, people fall into bad habits with you know, again, that, you know, that's slightly touching on, you know, children and how to navigate those, because obviously, you know, if you've got kids, it's not easy to make sure they go to bed on time. But you know, as women, and you know, we tend to have most of the role around kids, and but we also have to make sure that, you know, we're implementing some really healthy routines, you know, not only with our kids, but with our, you know, it works both ways, with yourself and your kids. It's really important to do that, so that as a whole, you know, you're all eating healthily and all in a good mood and not bouncing off the walls or moody, because you know, sugar makes you moody, you know, and like alcohol makes you depressed, and so all of these different foods can have a real effect on one's mood and one's, you know, state of mind, for sure. So,
Definitely.
yeah.
And I would love for you to share your journey of how you came to become a biohacker and medicine woman.
Okay, well, I'll keep it brief, because otherwise it could I could go into one. But I guess growing up, my parents were really into health and nutrition. So I was very fortunate that they really tried hard to make sure that all the food I ate was organic, and that I was on a macrobiotic diet and eating only food that was kind of basically grown in the local area, so that you're only eating food that grows in your country. So there wasn't any like bananas and pineapples and things like that, because you know, they don't grow here, and you know, different fruits and different vegetables will correlate with, you know, your body and your skin. Like, you know, coconut oil is really good for the skin, so you know, if you go to Jamaica or whatever, you know, it's prolific to have coconut there, or Thailand, because they've got a lot of sun. You know, we don't have a lot of sun here, unfortunately, and today we've got snow. But you know, so that's how that started. My parents fed me a very, very healthy diet growing up, and they gave me everything that they thought was beneficial. You know, I've learned a few things that wasn't necessarily true, but I guess mainstream media, you know, likes to blindside people a little bit in terms of diet. And then when I left home, well, I went to college as a dancer, so I was very mindful about weight and things like that. I was weighed at college. Fortunately, I never had any eating disorder, as many women do get at college, especially in the world we live today. You know, we're constantly confronted with, you know, magazines, or especially magazines when I was young, but you know, TV, Instagram, you know, films. You know, you have to look a certain way, and fortunately, I was always very slim, and I put that down to, thankfully, my parents fed me a really healthy diet. But you know, as soon as I left college, I took my weight for granted. And you know, being half Italian, I loved pasta. So I spent, you know, a lot of my years during my 20s and 30s fluctuating with my weight. Never really too much, but
as the typical student does.
I'll eat what I want. I live on my own now, so I'm going to eat pesto pasta day in and day out. So that, and then I guess I started my shamanic journey about 7 or 8 years ago. I had a shamanic experience, a shamanic journey using plant medicine, and that really opened my eyes to how much it was needed, that I needed to be more in tune with the earth and plants and food, and be more mindful about that. And it really brought out my health and nutrition interest once again. And you know, I got myself an allotment, and I grow my own vegetables, and you know, like I said earlier, I love foraging for herbs, various herbs, you know, let's take for instance, you know, the dandelion, which is a really good liver cleanse, which at the moment last year I had a few liver issues which were not correlated to food as such. It was actually to do with an emotion.
Yeah.
And I know that anger actually hasn't the emotion that's correlated with the liver. So I've been really trying to detox the liver. Obviously you can do that in many ways, from colonics and, you know, diets and tinctures and things like that. But dandelion is a really good diuretic and liver cleanse. You've got nettle, which is a really good kidney and liver cleanse. So like, you can go out there and there is a plethora of different herbs out there. If you just take a little bit of knowledge, there's plenty of books out there, you know, and you can just learn the basics. It doesn't have to be that difficult, you know. There's some that everyone can identify, you know. Just be careful with the mushrooms, because there's lots of edible mushrooms, but there's also lots of mushrooms that will make you a little bit upset. So you can't eat all mushrooms. I just want to put a disclaimer out there. And I do love my mushrooms of all sorts. So, so yeah, that's where it's brought me today, and really wanting to help other people in terms of health and nutrition and get people back on track. Because I think, again, we're in a world where we're so abundant with so much information and bombarded with, you know, adverts, and, you know, you go into the supermarket and there's just aisles and aisles. Really, there's only a couple of aisles that we should go down, you know. And it's really important to be not emotionally eat, you know. Make sure that you've got your strict list of what you're going to go into a supermarket for. Don't go in hungry.
And in regards of your healing that you do on your clients, how do your consultations work? Here we are in a beautiful healing cabin. So do your clients come to you, and how often do they come to you?
So I have one-to-one and group clients. I do various modalities, but I have clients that come to me for health reasons, stress reasons. As a sound therapist, trained sound therapist, I help a lot of people shift energy around the body. It's great for relaxation. It's great for insomnia. There's so many benefits to sound healing and frequencies, as many do know, and many may not know. Different frequencies can heal various parts of the body and shift stuck energy. So, you know, someone might come for an entity extraction, past life regression, so or Reiki, something like that, you know. So some of my clients come for a one-off session, and if they feel like they are getting better or back on track, they'll come and see me for another session. But again, it depends on the modality, because like people often come for regular sound baths, for instance, or if someone's got something wrong with their liver, or they've got eczema or something, then they might want a consultation for that, and I'll talk them through what kind of diet they're on at the moment, what to maybe eliminate, and what to introduce to help with whatever symptoms they're experiencing. So really my aim, as much as there is mainstream pharmaceuticals, and you know, they serve their purpose, but I do believe that we can heal our bodies. Our bodies, after all, are like amazing machines.
Definitely.
And I think
so are our minds.
And our minds as well, yes. And
exactly.
So that's why it's important to make sure the gut's healthy, because again, it'll definitely make sure that the mind is able to be more, you know, focused, and you can concentrate better if you're eating well.
And speaking of the mind, as important it is to work on your gut, it's just as important to work on your mind. Just as people go to the gym to get their body in shape and eat well to get their body in shape, you need to do the same thing with your mind, treating your mind as a muscle. And we have what's called the internal representation system, also known as the communication model. And it's how our mind works, how we function. So, being said, healthy gut, healthy mind. But in order to function in this world and to lead a wholesome, fulfilled life, we need to understand our beliefs and how this mind works. So we receive hundreds and thousands of information that comes into us through our 5 senses and our energy. And dependent on the beliefs we carry, so beliefs being I'm good enough, I'm not good enough, I am worthy, I'm unworthy, I'm loved, I'm unloved, those beliefs determine how your mind is going to operate, creating your life for you, because our mind, our thoughts, our tongue creates our world in front of us that we live. So hundreds and thousands of information come in through our 5 senses and energy, and through these beliefs it then gets deleted into all of the information gets deleted, and only a certain amount of information we keep, which is dictated by those beliefs we carry. We then distort that information to be true dependent on those beliefs, and then what we do is we generalize on those on that information, building assumptions and opinions around that information. And then what happens is we then create certain thoughts, healthy thoughts, unhealthy thoughts. And from those thoughts, so in other words, a cluttered mind or an empty, healthy mind with a strong intuition. And from there, it then creates our states, also known as our moods. And then that then dictates our behavior, which then determines our actions and results. So if you want to lead a fulfilled life and heal and grow and become more, you need to go back to the root cause of the beliefs and the meaning that you have placed on certain experiences so that you can lead the life that you want. And that's why we go back to Tanya and why the gut is so important, because if your gut is unhealthy, it will then affect how the mind works, creating unhealthy emotions, so to speak.
Yes, I think that, childhood trauma and, even, long-term relationships, you can create really unhealthy habits. You either learn habits from your parents or your partner, and, it can have a quite a detrimental effect. Once you get a little bit older, it just starts with a little niggle, and then before you know it, you've got a stomach ulcer or something like that. So it is really important to have some form of discipline, and also understand that perhaps what you have been shown growing up might not necessarily be what is for your best, even if that's what you ate as a child, or that's what you ate in your relationship. It's really about discernment and understanding that health is a much bigger picture, and there's lots of nasties out there to tempt us. But we need to be mindful, and we need to be implement more like, it's more like a routine. And I guess that's why people come to you for coaching, because when you've got a coach, you've got someone to keep accountable to, and it's someone to check in and encourage you, and especially I guess for women that have gone through a divorce, you can feel quite alone, and you can quite feel like you've got no support and you don't have anyone there, and having a coach, I can imagine, is the best thing you could possibly do. I mean, look at the Americans, they've all got coaches,
Yes.
they've got, go and see the shrink, like once a week, So, in America, it's quite normal to have a form of therapist.
Yeah, it's about being open to the help so that you can learn how to rewire your thinking so that you can heal correctly, that's suitable for you and your personal journey. And understanding more of yourself as you create and develop a deeper connected relationship with yourself, understanding yourself more. And I must say, at first, a lot of people, from certain childhood trauma or any trauma that's formed in their life, it creates like a trigger or a blockage where they don't want to travel into understanding that version of themselves because they're too afraid. But in reality, there's nothing to be afraid about, because we are all love. We are all unconditional love. And we are here to journey into the deepness, our core self of who we are, living a fulfilled life and maintaining our health so that we can maintain a longevity and feel fulfilled in these teachings and as we go forth with a wholesome life force energy.
I think yes, and as you are saying, like, you know, after a marriage, your life isn't over. This is just the beginning. It's the next chapter of your life. And even if you haven't been married, you know, I'm sure many people out there have been in many relationships and long-term relationships. And just because one ends doesn't mean it's not the beginning of the next chapter of your life. You know, it is like a storybook, you know, and you go through the book, and each chapter there's something completely different happens. And you know, actually if when you get to a certain age, if you start looking back on your life, you're like, wow, you know, when I was young I used to live there. I never imagined, like you living in South Africa, you never imagined that you'd be living in the UK now. Yes. Being a life coach when you were once a professional surfer, you know. So it's quite amazing and exciting to really think about where your life will head in the future. But you know, having a coach is always a good idea, because like I said before, it's good to have someone that's got your back, someone who you can be accountable for. But you know, and keeping you on the right track, it's really important to be kept on the right track.
Exactly. And it's also about understanding, like pinning the dots together of your past so that you can create clarity and peace within yourself, so that you can lead in this next phase with congruence and look to this change. And I know a lot of people don't like change after divorce, but they, you know, they look at it and they acknowledge the needed growth and why it is here and relevant within themselves. And it will just help you in your journey so much more when you see it like that, and when you actually take action in leading in that manner. Yeah. Thus. And Tanya, I'd love for you to just share a little bit more in terms of, you know, why we need to be so healthy because of certain cancers. So we mentioned earlier, like our emotions always reflect in our body.
Yes, you know, for many years I was really under the impression that, you know, just having a really healthy diet would be the one thing that would make me live forever, you know, keep my skin nice and, you know, keep me slim and all the rest of it. But, you know, health and food and health has so many other implications. You know, if you know, stress, for instance, you know, stress in the body and in the mind can cause all sorts of havoc. It can age you really quickly. Because of the levels of cortisol in the body, you can then have far less collagen production. So, you know, people then become, you know, more wrinkly, more drooping, more, you know, crepey neck. Don't look at my neck. It's all right. It's all right. Don't.
Look, she's so healthy.
No, it is starting to go, but I'm getting old. I've had a lot of stress last year. But so yeah, so like emotion has, you know, I'm learning all the time because that's what I'm interested in, but emotion has such a huge impact, and that's why it's really important to put in some daily routines. And also, if you've been in a marriage or you've got kids, sometimes it's really difficult to actually give yourself some love and give yourself the time that you've probably never given yourself, because, you know, people become, as they say, they become one when they go in a relationship, and often people lose themselves. Yeah. So it's really important to keep up really healthy habits, whether it's, you know, swimming or yoga or going for some treatments or sea swimming, you know, or meditation. You know, meditation is very, very, you know, becoming very popular. Whereas, you know, 10 years ago, if I told someone I was meditating, they'll go, who's that weirdo meditating at home in the morning? But a lot of this health and well-being stuff is becoming way more prominent in the industry these days. I think it's very much the norm. I think health and wellness is, if not the biggest industry there is out there, you know, everybody wants to be fit and healthy. So if you can, then it's really important to get some healthy hobbies and take care of your mind and your gut.
And remaining true to yourself, because often what I've found over the years when working with clients is, let's say in a marriage, a husband lives that fast-paced world, very corporate, where the wife could be a stay-at-home mom, and sometimes it can be very hard for the wife because she has to be somebody else that's not her true self. And that can often lead to cancers when you're not actually happy within, but at the same time, you're not working on yourself in order to understand what's, like, going wrong, or what you're missing, or, what you're not aligned to. And that's your true self, because you would have lost yourself to make somebody else happy instead of creating a balance. And that's where all of these implications come in with our health. And that's why it's very important to be mindful of who you are, in the truth of who you are, in the growth of who you are, and your healing and the relationship with yourself, and the health of your body and the gut, and understanding more of your body through health.
That's right. Yes, making space for yourself is the number one. I always put it like the analogy of, when we're in an aircraft, you put your oxygen mask on first before you help somebody else. Because if you're not living your true self and giving yourself every bit of love and attention and self-care that you can, like giving it to somebody else before you've given it to yourself, which so many people do. I'm not dissing anyone that does that. We've all been there and we've all done it. We've put I've done it many times, put people before myself, but I won't do that now, because I know that if I do that, then there are implications, and that my health will suffer because of it. So
definitely,
put yourself first, ladies and gentlemen. For those gentlemen out there that are watching.
Definitely. And Tanya, do you have anything more to share?
I will have more to share in the future. I know we've got to wrap it up for today, so I really enjoyed coming on this evening.
I loved chatting with you today.
Yeah, and myself. I'd love to share a little bit about who I am and what I do, and I look forward to coming on again in the future.
Definitely. And we'll be hosting many more lives with each other in the cabin. Night, everyone. Take care.